How are we doing tonight, people? Oh boy. Oh boy. How are we going to do this one? How are we going to get through this one? Listen, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be long. You know, you can only rant and rave about Tottenham Hotspur for so long. All right, nobody's listened to me yell and scream for hours on end. So we're going to try to keep this concise, 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops. But of course, feel free to take this moment to give yourselves a round of applause, people. Come on. Come on. We gather on in here. Let me go ahead and welcome you to the show. It is De La Spurs. I'm coming to you live tonight. It is February 23rd today. Hope you guys are having a good Monday, starting off your week strong. Hopefully better than Spurs, right? Hopefully better than Spurs because, oh man, we're going to get into it. Of course, I'm going to talk about the North London disaster, right? North London disaster. Hold on, where's my explosion? North London disaster. What are we talking about? North London disaster that we got going on tonight. We're also going to be talking about some of Tudor's comments. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Before we go and do that, let's go ahead and take a moment to do the beginning logistics for me. If you could, please go ahead, like this video, subscribe to the channel, De La Spurs, at De La Spurs on X as well. You can follow me on X, see the comments and posts whenever I'm going live, just some of my opinions about what's going on. If you do follow me on X, you're probably seeing me freak out over what I was watching during the game, reacting live to that. So go ahead and follow me on X if you want to go ahead and see my live reaction to games like that, or follow me on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Go ahead and share this video as well. Share this video with friends, family members that are into the Premier League content, into Tottenham Hotspur content, or in general, if you're just a soccer fan looking for someone talking about soccer as well. So feel free to share this video with them, or you can leave a comment below. Tell me what you do like, what you don't like about what you're seeing. I appreciate the feedback. Oh, you don't even have to do that. You can just say, talk about your day, whatever it is. You can have a therapy session, either in the live chat, in the live comments, or you can have your therapy session on the in the comments below. If you are watching this on the playback, I encourage you to leave a comment. But hey, we're just gonna go right into it. North London disaster. That's right. Talking about Tottenham, we lost 1-4 at home, 4-1. No, those weren't the odds, even though that's what it looked like on there. That was not the odds, but we got beat down. We got beat down at home, 4-1 again. Arsenal just dunking on us. That's 8-2 on aggregate in the season. I'm not sure how much Arsenal has scored on Tottenham in a single season, but it has to be up there. It has to be up there at the top. I'm just going to say right off the top, first of all, I hate Arsenal. This disgusting, plastic, whiny bunch of players and fans. Everything about them is just so fake and gross. I hate that club so much. I hate their players. Listen, I tried to make sense of this. I tried to be nice. I get that the team and the club is in a very desperate situation, but things like that foul that Gabriel pulled by flopping over when Kolo Muani had his hands on his back, things like that, Trossard, Martinelli just flopping all over the place. Those are things I honestly, it drives me insane. All right. And then these fans come out behind these performances and are asking and begging fans, "Oh, you got to say we're good. We want you to say we're good. Look at what we're doing. You need to acknowledge Arsenal's good. Look how good Arsenal is." And then if that's the case and you do acknowledge how good Arsenal is, then they take it and they ramp it up even further. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're one of the best teams in Europe. Yeah, we play some of the best football in Europe. Yeah, our set piece coach, our set pieces are better than any teams. We're our defense is the best in Europe. We have um, all this glamour and flair on this team. This is like the best Arsenal team that's ever been. It's just so annoying. It's just so fake. It's just so fake. And that's what you saw from the game. That they were desperate. All right. And maybe that's what you give credit to in their performance is that they were desperate enough to did what they did in that game. But nah. That's not flying with me. That's not flying with me one bit. That was crazy. That was crazy to watch. I'm sitting there in the pub. There's two English fellows that I was actually very surprised to meet, especially here in the area I live in. Here in America, I live in the South in America, so wasn't expecting to meet two British gentlemen that were enjoying the game that happened to be Tottenham fans. One was a bigger Tottenham fan than the other. The other one was kind of more of a neutral, but since his friend was a Tottenham friend, he would usually go for Tottenham. So I asked the one guy, I'm not going to expose their names, but I asked the one man who was a Tottenham fan, I asked him what he thought of the season, and he pretty much told me he was disappointed in Thomas Frank being appointed as the manager. He was, disappointed in the transfer window and wasn't really surprised that Thomas Frank got fired in the end. He just said ultimately the season's been very disappointing. Surprisingly, he said he thought we won't get relegated, but I don't know where he got that from. But yeah, he didn't have very much positive things to say, and I just thought that was interesting to share that with another Tottenham fan as we're watching the team lose 4-1. There was one Arsenal fan, at least I saw, wearing a jersey in the pub, and he literally he had the biggest grin on his face. I was walking to the bathroom right before I left. He had the biggest grin on his face, just staring me down as I'm leaving the pub because we lost 4-1. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't take it. I was so glad to get out of there. But all in all, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go ahead and do the starting lineups. I'm going to pull it up as well on SofaScore. Now, yes, I know. Here we go. Should be pulling up for you guys right now. Okay. There's a way to make this. I'm gonna zoom in just a wee bit for you guys. Oh, you know what? Is that better? I'm not sure if that's better. All right, so here we go. So starting lineup, as you can see at the top, the formation 3-5-2, 3 in the back, 5 in the midfield, 2 up front. We had Vicario in goal, who honestly didn't have a strong game, in my opinion. Now, there were some goals that weren't his fault. I think the two Eze goals and even the Gyökeres, really all 4 goals could have been better defended in his to give him that, I think that there could have been way better defending on all 4 goals that we conceded. But I did not think that he performed very well in this game. I don't think that I know early on there were some moments he flapped at the ball. He was caught out of goal. But yeah, didn't have a strong performance. Looking at the 3 at the back, Paulinho, Dragusin, Van de Ven. Now, this is where there was a point of contention with the lineup with Tudor. Why is João Palhinha playing in the back as a center back? First of all, why are we starting at 3 if we don't have enough center backs to even play at a 3? Why put a midfielder as a center back in this game, in this sort of situation? It doesn't make sense to me. Listen, I get that João Palhinha has had to do that because of the injury crisis that we're in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's similar to what we've seen from seasons before when we had players playing out of position. We don't want to rely on them playing out of position. Yes, it's good when they're able to put a performance in that position and, not necessarily do anything wrong, but that doesn't necessarily mean you want to start relying on putting that player out of position, because as we can see here with Archie Gray being lined up front, he's not a wingback. So why is he playing as a wingback? He doesn't have any strengths. All right, he failed in the game, and ultimately he's not going to learn anything from that performance because that was a terrible performance. He shouldn't learn anything from that performance other than what he should do better. But there's nothing that he can take away from this game. This was a 90 minutes of him running out of position, right? And, João Palhinha, same thing for him because, we conceded 4 goals. So as much as you want to sit there and say, oh, that may be not his fault, but there was a lot of times I'm looking at the defending. I'm looking at where is João Palhinha? Where is he when these goals are coming? When we're in the attack? So there were so many opportunities where we weren't closing down the players and they were getting these shots on goal. All 4 shots, really. There was no closing down on the players. So he was out of position. Dragusin, Van de Ven were being caught out of position constantly. So that back line, as much as it could have been worse, right? And they did stop they did stop some chances, right? I think Dragusin had a stretch block. I think Van de Ven the same when Vicario was out of position, right? So they did stop some goals going in, but ultimately they were not closing down for the 4 goals that we had in the midfield, right? Conor Gallagher, Basuma, Sarr. All right, we didn't really have any control in that midfield. Jed Spence playing out on the right as a wing back. Then we had Kolo Muani and Xavi Simons, who really didn't stand out to me, really didn't stand up in this game. And to be quite honest, as much as he's been playing well and has been kind of, finding his form in that position, he didn't really show much. In this game to make you think that he's ready for the big time. He's not ready for the tough games. He's not ready to play the big teams and to make an impact. I'm sorry. The last game, you have that Liverpool performance as well, where you just stamped on the back of Van Dijk's leg and you get a red card. Now you have this game where you're completely anonymous. I'm not sure if he was I think he was in the last Arsenal game. So same thing with the last Arsenal game. Completely anonymous there when they beat us 4-1 again. Not really showing that he's standing up in those big games. All right, let's go ahead and go to the first half. As you can see, we were dominated in possession. Absolutely no control in the midfield. Our passing was really bad. I wonder if the passing stats, if they have any passing stats. As you can see, we only had 113 passes. We didn't have a lot of the ball. See an attack, passing. So, yeah, accurate passes, 73 to their 237. Look at that. That's so pathetic. Right? It's just we had no control in that first period. We got the first goal really off of pressing and getting a turnover off of Declan Rice. But other than that, we didn't have any other chances. Really didn't provide anything else in the game. As you can see, a lot of fouls, 8 fouls in that first half. Right, a lot of tackles, a yellow card. They had more free kicks than us. All right, that refereeing was terrible. I'm not gonna hold you. There was some calls that were very questionable. Again, Arsenal was flopping around a lot. And that's the issue on the referee. I don't think there's anything we can necessarily say about that. I think we all knew the referee fell for the trick that Arsenal was going for, and he got caught up in calling a game that Arsenal wanted to have called. And, ultimately, I think we were going to suffer from that, but still no excuse, right? So we get the first goal. Kolo Muani does get his first Premier League goal, right? I guess we should give him a round of applause for that. He gets his first Premier League goal. Yeah, but other than that, really didn't do much. Again, just the passing is just we have no passing. And as much as everybody wanted to blame Frank that we're not playing attacking, creative football, we have a different manager come in, right? You think the shackles are off? Okay, the manager gives everybody a clean slate. The pressure's kind of off your shoulders a little bit. You come into this game, the crowd's going to be on your, behind you. Okay, pass the ball progressively. And what do we see? What do we see? Even in a situation where, granted, it is a big game. I'm not saying it's not a big game. I'm not saying you're playing against one of the big teams or one of the best teams, in the Premier League, right? But you think in any environment, it would be the opportunity to step up and to say, hey, you know what? Well, some of the passing that we've been doing in training that we feel like we haven't been able to do in games, we're going to try our darnest to do it. The passing patterns, some of the skill moves I know. So, however, I need to beat a man, how I need to look to get, a shot on goal, all those sort of things, those attributes you think players kind of hone in themselves personally when they're out on the training pitch, right? That they kind of bring that up in the game. But our players aren't capable of doing that. One, because I don't think they're good enough. And then two, it was never something that you're playing a good team in Arsenal. It's just, it was just so much. It was so much going against us. In the second half, a little bit more even as far as the possession. So we get a little bit more control on the ball. As you can see, we have a lot more passes, but Arsenal do strike 3 times in the second half. 3 times in the second half. They do get an early goal. We could have responded, but of course, Gabriel flopped on that goal, which was absolute BS. Again, the referee fell for the game that Arsenal wanted to have called. And honestly, that was, it's so funny, that they have a rule now to give yellow cards out for flopping, but rarely do you ever see that happen. It's almost every time a player flops, a foul is called. So it's like, honestly, why do you even have that rule? Gabriel should have been called for flopping, to be quite honest. But that goal should have stand. And to be fair, if it was 2-2 at that point, right, I think Arsenal fans would have been way nervous than they were before, right? Because I think they were still a little bit nervous when it was 1-1. And we responded quickly, right? They still had their chances after that, obviously, and then going into half, I think there was another scoring opportunity right before halftime. So, I don't think they were like, nervous, but I think they were a little nervous that it was still tied, right? And that they could blow it, right? Because they wanted to get the victory. They couldn't look at a draw. They needed to get all 3 points, right? So after they got that goal, if we would have responded again, I think they would have been nervous because they're saying, I don't know if this team is going to be capable of getting 3 goals in this game. Are they going to get nervous? Is Mikel Arteta going to start changing stuff up? Like, all this stuff, all the apprehensiveness they had this season, all those things could have started flowing back in. And once it started flowing back in, right, our crowd's into it because it's 2-2, right? Then it gets into the players' heads, and then you got yourself a situation where, whatever. It's hypothetical. What are you going to do? What can you say? But second half, you could say it's a little bit better, but how many shots did we even have in the second half? 4 shots. So he had 4 shots in the second half, 10 tackles, had another yellow card. But look at this. This is the big thing though, right? On the attack, big chances, through balls, nothing. We have nothing. We're not doing anything. We're not. Look at the passing, throw-ins, accurate. We had more accurate passes, but so what? Crossing is still better, you know. Still getting dominated in the ground duels. You're still defending more. So it's really story of two halves, I guess you could say, but I'm not sure if you can necessarily say that because I think the first half was still pretty bad. So second half, I'm not sure if it was necessarily going to be that better. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to ask if Tudor got this right, you know, we were always asking that question. If Frank got it right, did Tudor get it? We didn't talk about the subs. Subs were terrible, right? Imagine sitting in a pub, right? You have some random people who are looking at the game. I got my Tottenham gear on, so people know I'm looking at the team, I'm watching the team, and I'm invested into the game, right? Imagine this. How embarrassing it is as a Tottenham fan when you have a neutral fan looking up and saying, oh, who's going to come on to help this team get back into this game? And you see Richarlison. Richarlison is taking off his warm-ups and getting ready and getting loose like he's about to do something in this game. How embarrassing. I had my face in my hands. I had my face in my hands as if Richarlison's going to come on and save this team. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? As well, last point for the subs. Where the hell is Sousa? We bought this player on loan to come in. We bought a left back. We said we needed a left back. Ben Davies is hurt. We needed a left back to come in. Other than Man United, when has this guy played? Did Thomas Frank not trust him? Tudor didn't play him. Does Igor Tudor not trust him? Is this player really bad and we just bought a left back just to say we bought a left back? What does that say? For Lange, who said we shouldn't buy anybody because we can't find anybody else that'd be good enough to help this team other than Conor Gallagher and Sousa. And Sousa's not even being used. What does that say about the recruitment? What does that say about him? What does that say about Lange, Finlay, the whole thing? So that was another point. I'm like, where is this guy? When are we going to use him? We're in an injury crisis. Why are we sitting here saving players? Like, for what? We're in a relegation fight. Sousa either plays or he doesn't. And if he doesn't play, why we buy him? Why we buy him? Makes no sense. All right. Just to continue, we're going to go to Igor Tudor's interview. Listen, his post-match interview also a disgrace. Some heavy quotes coming out of that. Just to give you sort of the headline here. This is obviously the big headline. Fabrizio Romano put on here. Arsenal are probably the best team in the world right now. You're probably saying, what the hell? When did he say that? Oh, we're going to cover it. We're going to pull this up right now. Hold on. So let's see here. Let's get his interview pulled up here. So this is the context of him saying this. Now, this is right after the loss, right? So, I mean, emotions are running high. First of all, this, where is it? The first one. Does this result say more about the problem you face at Spurs or the quality of Arsenal? Both things, both. Big gaps in the specific moment between the two teams. It was too much Arsenal for us in this moment with the problems we have. Too much Arsenal for us in the oh my goodness. Also, it's nice to understand that where we are because you prepare in the best possible way. Then there is a game to show you reality. So it's nice from one point of view so each of us understand and come. As I said, the players stay quiet. They come on Tuesday and restart after these 3 or 4 training sessions to start to work harder than we did until now, to change our habits, to change the state of mind, which is now as a team, it is the only way to work. So now I hate to see that way too much Arsenal for us at that moment. That's a terrible quote to come from this. Another thing that I noticed from this answer is that, and I mentioned this before, right? How he was talking about the player. There was questions before in his pre-match conference about what was his approach with the players, knowing that the next game was such a big game for him and the team and the club, it being the North London Derby. And he pretty much alluded to how essentially he's been pretty much put a set of blinders on these players, just saying, hey, focus on the training sessions, all right? The next game is Arsenal, but we're going to focus on our training, focus on what we need to do, and the game will be what it will be. And I guess we kind of see a result of that because we really didn't see anything in that game. We didn't really see any identity in the team. It was an amalgamation of players trying to do things. It was a mess of pressing and not pressing, being wide open, being defensive, trying to attack, long balls. There was no identity at all. And I think that's kind of sort of it falls into what he's saying. I think he put too much of the blinders on the team. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, if your club is serious, you would bring in. We've had Spurs coaches, managers, and players talking in the media about the relegation situation. Why hasn't the club brought any one of those guys in to come in and talk? Right? If you didn't think Harry Redknapp or Tim Sherwood were good enough to be a manager, why can't they just come in and talk to the players? Why can't you just bring them in to do a pep talk? Just have them talk about maybe falling in line with Tudor because this is what you need to do, or talk about the Tottenham way and moments where his teams were low and he was looking at great players and when they were struggling, what they did to get through tough moments. Why are all these figures for Tottenham coming out speaking against us, but we can't bring any of them in to speak to these players and actually inject some identity into the squad, into the players, because we obviously see they have no identity. They have no connection to Tottenham. That's why we see these players aren't willing to fight every game. We as fans are saying we would run. These fans would have a heart attack. At the end of the game, running their asses off, sweating. The pants would be falling off by the end of the game. They'd be running their butts off for this team if they had the opportunity. And some of them don't know how to play football. Some of them don't run. They don't train, but they would do it for the opportunity because they love the club. These players don't have any identity or attachment to the club, and we can see that because they're wearing the badge, they're wearing the shirt, but what are they doing out there, right? What are we seeing them do out there? We see them give up. We see that the players are crap, first off. The players are not good. And then at some point, they gave up. I think it was around 3-1. They just gave up. They gave up. What do you do? What do you say? Well, if you're a fan there in London, you just sit there complicit. You just sit there and go with it, right? You're just happy to be there. You're just happy to see the team play, right? That's another thing. At the very end, I'm coming after you fans because you guys, oh, my goodness. So, and then we'll go over the quote here where he mentions Arsenal, one of the best teams in the world right now. So, did the players need a game like this to show the reality? He said, no, we didn't need this game for sure, but this happened in this moment. This team, Arsenal, is probably the best team now in the world in this moment. So it was not easy. God, when we're in a relegation fight and our manager is coming out and saying how Arsenal is the best team in the world, is this any different from Thomas Frank holding an Arsenal cup? Sipping through an Arsenal cup. I mean, if you're talking about someone drinking the Arsenal Kool-Aid, it would be someone saying that Arsenal is the best team in the world right now. So, fans want to sit here and, go after managers, go after Thomas Frank. Why aren't you going after Tudor? He's had his Arsenal Cup moment. That's his Arsenal Cup moment. Saying in an interview that Arsenal is one of the best teams right now in the world. That was too much Arsenal for us. It was too much Arsenal. We couldn't handle it. Shut your mouth. You're a Tottenham manager. Have some fucking pride, dude. Unreal. But anyways, so it was not easy. I can also give it to us excuse because if we were thinking today that it is Derby and Derby can give something more. I also play a lot of Derby. Okay. I was coach also for Derby for sure. The Derby give you something more, but of mentality, of motivation. But there are also other things that you cannot change in 3 or 4 training sessions. It's possible. So it's a team who is built by years choosing the right players and working hard on the mentality and brain sharpness, and second ball physicality and quality of everything, mentality. So it is how it is. So he pretty much just gave it up and just said, hey, this team is just on a completely different level. That was something that he mentioned. That was almost verbatim what he answered in another question, that these teams are just on two different atmospheres. They're on 2 different planets right now. And what is there to do? What can you do? That's all he's going to say. What can I do? What can I do? I'm just a lonely old Tottenham manager. I have shit players. The ownership doesn't listen to me. They don't listen to anybody. What am I to do? Oh, woe is me. So, yeah, man. North London disaster. 4-1 loss. We go into these next games here. Hold on. Let's pull this up for our schedule. Just before we round out by going after some of these London's fans over there, but just to look at what we have left. So look at the recent. Look at this. 3, 6. That makes 8, 10. So we're 2, 2, and 6 in the last 10. And as you can obviously see, all the games that we've lost have all been in the Premier League, right? We had 2 Champions League games that we won. All the losses have been in the Premier League. And look at these losses. Bournemouth, Aston Villa, West Ham, Manchester United, Newcastle, and just now recently Arsenal. Like, oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, hold on. Something ain't right here. Let me do something real quick. That's my fault, folks. I messed this up. I got this wrong. Come on, SofaScore, please. Okay. So, if you want to, and I'm just going to zoom in here because I think it goes away. I make this full screen. So if you just want to look to your left here, so this is the fixtures that we have left in the Premier League, right? So as you can see, next is Fulham, March 1st, the end of this week. Now, we have 3 London derbies in a row, right? That was never going to be easy. That's never going to be easy for any Tottenham team at any stage, at any point in time. If we were at the top of our echelon and performing the highest ability, if we were at the lowest of lows, which is pretty much now, it's never going to be easy. But for Fulham, right, you're looking at a Fulham team that you're looking at their predicted lineup, right? You have a Ryan Sessegnon. He's a player. He was a player that we didn't want, right? ML Smith-Rowe. He's a Arsenal reject, right? You have Harry Wilson. He's pretty good. Iwobi, he's a solid player, right? Raul Jimenez, he'll pop up with the odd goal. You know, he's a tough player that gets he's good with his feet and his head. Pause. But yeah. As you would think, wow, Fulham. No way that Fulham would have a better squad than Tottenham. But let's just look at what we have. We have Randall Colomwani and Xavi Simons, solid top two, right? I would say I would take those players over Raul Jimenez. Maybe. Let's look at the midfield. You have Archie Gray versus, well, their midfield is looking a little bit different. Oh, I'm sorry, these are the wingers. So let's just go wingers. So we have Tete and Ryan Sessegnon, Archie Gray, and Jed Spence. So to be quite honest, what a matchup that is, Ryan Sessegnon and Archie Gray. Who's worse? Ryan Sessegnon, who we've seen not be good at Tottenham, or we've seen his very best at Tottenham, and it wasn't the level that we thought it would require us to take this club to the next level, so we got rid of him. And we have Archie Gray, who's apparently has some magic glass ceiling that we can't see, but I guess everybody else can see because they keep playing the fucker. So, what do we have? Who's worse right now? Who's worse? What a matchup that would be. Jed Spence and Tete. Now, so somewhat similar. I think Tete, decent right back. Same thing with Jed Spence. You're looking at the bat line, Kevin Bassey, Anderson. We have Dragusin, Van de Ven, and Paulina. So we have someone who's not even really a defender playing in that back line. Dragusin, who's just been awful, but granted, this is like the first time he's been playing all season, and now he's just expected to get us out of a relegation fight. And then we have Van de Ven, who looks like he's completely fucked off. If he can't play with Christian Romero, I don't really think he cares. So, and then you have Bert Leno versus Bert Leno. I didn't say Bert. Bert Leno versus Vicario, which honestly, they're about the same level as well. So you're looking at a Tottenham team which is about the same level as Fulham. And the only issue is that we're in a relegation fight and they're not. That's the difference. That's the difference. So, oh man, it's a rough one. Well, I just wanted to kind of go on that. That's our next game. We got Crystal Palace after that as well. So 2 more London derbies. You can sit here and say we don't want to judge Tudor after these next 2 games, but these are 2, in my opinion. God, this squad is awful. These squads are awful. I can't say that they're winnable games. They're not winnable in the sense that we deserve to win, but they are winnable in the sense that I think that we can, if we're able to plan this out right, I think we can get these teams to make mistakes. We can capitalize on those mistakes. Do I think our defense is like good enough to see out like a 1-0 for like 80 minutes? No. So I think we're going to have to take our chances. We don't create a lot of goals, so we're going to have to rely on set pieces, set plays, corner kicks, things of that nature. And again, if this team is up for it, if they're willing to press, we may be able to cause a couple of turnovers here and there. But if this manager is going to continue with the back 3 of João Palhinha, Dragusin, and Van de Ven, Palhinha, Dragusin, and Van de Ven, then I'm not sure how. We just saw how cut open we were with Arsenal, and to be quite honest, Arsenal have great quality players, but their attacking play is not that great. Those players out there really have to just kind of rely on each other to create the attacking play. It feels like there's really no attacking patterns. But to be quite honest, they don't really attack that well. And even the opportunities they had, our players just weren't closing the ball out in time. Anybody can score in the Premier League if you don't close them down. That's one of the high points of this league. That's one of the things this league prides themselves on is how fast paced it is. How you barely getting time to think, barely getting time to look on the ball before your defender's on you. He's going after your ankle. He's going to shove you, push you off the ball, right? You got to be up for it. So if our players aren't actually trying to get on the ball in these situations, especially in attacking situations with, or I should say in defensive situations where their players are right in front of the net, right at the top of the box or in the box, right there lining up a shot. It's any team can score. Fulham can score. Like I said, Raul Jimenez, he's good with his feet and his head. So if you don't think a cross isn't going to come in, if he's not closed down, he can put it in the back of the net. You don't think he's going to be able to control the ball in space and put a shot on goal? You're wrong. Raul Jimenez, first of all, is a seasoned Premier League striker. So he knows what he knows in this game that he's going to get 2 or 3 good opportunities in space to score. And he only probably needs 1 or 2 to win. Probably only needs 1 or 2 to win. That's just it. That is what it is. That is what it is. Listen, I wanted to close out on this. I'm not very happy with how the fan base has been reacting to everything. I think everybody's was honestly so ready to get Thomas Frank out, and I get it. He didn't do himself any favors with some of his decisions as far as picking the players, the personnel, the lineup, how he handled and conducted himself through both the summer and the January window, and some of the answers and the responses he had to the results that we were constantly receiving. We were constantly losing, and it just felt like he was either repeating himself or he was just making up and saying things that we weren't seeing at the time. Ultimately, that led to his fall, his demise, and as the manager, not in death, but like his demise as the manager as Tottenham. We now bring in another manager, right? And fans are saying, oh, Igor Tudor, all he has to do is get the players rallied around each other. Listen, we're not going to go down. We just need someone to rally the troops, bring them all together, right? The tactics are going to be better, right? The shackles are going to be off. No shackles on the players, right? We were so defensive. Thomas Frank set us up so defensive, so now we won't be defensive. We'll actually attack, right? He'll actually coach some attacking patterns. And what do we see? We see the same BS that we were seeing under Thomas Frank. Same BS, right? And it comes down to a North London derby where you have your biggest rival in front of you. The scum across the street. The scum across the street right there at home, 4-1, hanging up the scarf on the little camera thing. Again, 4-1. A player in Eze who doesn't play at all for Arsenal. For whatever reason, Mikel Arteta doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust him. But he lets him play against Tottenham. And guess what he does against Tottenham? He gets 2 goals. He gets a brace. Same thing with Gyökeres, however you pronounce his name, right? This guy hasn't been scoring any goals ever. Plays against Tottenham, gets a brace. What is that? And I'm pretty sure he scored in the last game too, I think, in the reverse fixture. So what is that? What is that? Well, what's the answer now, fans? Because here's the thing. Funny enough, the crowd booed. They were upset with the loss, but there's no chance of Enoch, no chance of Vinay, no chance of Lange. Who set this all up, by the way? These are the people who are directly responsible. You know what's funny enough? With Daniel Levy, we didn't have the communication. We didn't have the videos coming out where they're saying, hey, I'm taking responsibility for this. This was our decision. This was our thinking. We have that now. We have the people have lined themselves up in the crosshairs. Lange came out and said, I didn't buy anybody in January. I didn't think there was anybody else good enough. And then when fans are upset if we don't have anybody, we're in this injury crisis, what do? You sit there and you say nothing. You're silent. You're complicit with what's going on. As a matter of fact, you're just happy to be there. We're losing 4-1, and apparently there's Tottenham fans smiling in the stadium. They're happy to just see it. But why do I got to pay the season ticket? Why do I got to do this? Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to pay this? Why do you feel like you have to put yourself through that? The issue is with a lot of Tottenham fans is one, right? They have no standards. They don't, right? If we had a bunch of 12-year-olds running out there in the Premier League game with the Tottenham badge, somehow the fans would want to get behind it. They would want to get behind it. For some reason, Tottenham fans think being cheerleaders is what supporting the club is. There's a difference between a supporter, a fan, and a cheerleader. In America here, we have cheerleaders. You know what? Cheerleaders go with the team wherever they go, right? Whether it's home, away, whether it's a rainy game, a snowy game, a hot game, a delayed game, a close game, a blowout, wherever it is, whoever they're playing. If it's in a hostile ground, if it's at home, whatever it is, the cheerleaders are there cheering on the team. And you know what they do that for? To get the fans into the game. They're not, and to support the players. They want to support the players, and they want the fans to rally around them, cheering and supporting the players. And you know what Tottenham fans are? Or there's a certain sect of Tottenham fans are that are just cheerleaders. They want to sit there and say, we're going to support the club and the players no matter whatever happens, even if it is something stupid, even if we are getting blown out, even if we are losing every home game. We're still going to come here. We're still going to support the team with all of our heart, all this passion, all this fake, this is what it means to me. And you want to do that so that the fans watching and the fans in the crowd around you, oh yeah, look at that guy. Look how he's cheering for them. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna cheer too. That guy just warmed my heart as a Tottenham fan to make me want to cheer for us losing 4-0, for us conceding 3 straight goals against Arsenal. You know what? He makes me want to, you know what? I'm so happy. I was stood up and started clapping, but I'm not going to do that. But that's what these fans do. It's like we got these cheerleaders that can't be critical of anything, can't engage with anything critically at the club. And the worst part about it is that they're complaining about issues at the club. They're complaining about why I have to pay so much money for these tickets. Why can't the club understand that we're paying a lot of money? Why can't the club give the tickets back to some of the disabled community? Why isn't nobody from the club getting, players to come out and talk with the fans and stuff like that? The first time they got Dele Alli to do this because we're in a relegation fight, right? But you can't get anybody like a Tim Sherwood. Hell, get fucking Dele Alli to come back and talk to the players. He can say, hey, I was a player at Tottenham. Not anymore, but I was. Here was my time. Here's why I care about the club. Right? Get Harry Redknapp, Tim Sherwood, come talk to the players. Why the fuck are you getting them talk to the fans for? Oh, you know what it is? It's so they can get you to continue to pay for the season. They're going to get you they're going to keep bringing you in. You're going to complain about, why do I keep getting dragged? Why do I keep getting sucked into this again? Why do I have to keep paying all this money for all this stuff? It's because you're choosing to do it. You're choosing to do it. You're choosing to be just a cheerleader. You're not choosing to engage anything critically with the club. Because guess what? The fans in the seats, they get to boo. They can engage critically with what they're seeing. They boo. They only cheer when they see something they want that is worth cheering. And you cheering the whole entire time, no matter what, that doesn't make you a better fan. That just makes you a cheerleader. And that's the difference. There's too many Tottenham fans that are cheerleaders, and they feel like they're better fans than other fans who are willing to criticize the club. You're not a better fan. You're just a cheerleader. And guess what? Here in America, we don't give a fuck about the cheerleaders. We don't. We don't give a fuck about cheerleaders. The team is doing shit. We're going to boo. Who cares what the cheerleaders have to say? The cheerleaders are going to cheer no matter what. But if I know I'm watching BS on the field, on the court, whatever field of play I'm watching, my team is playing bad, I'm going to be upset. I don't care about what a cheerleader has to say. I don't care what a cheerleader has to do. They do backflips and tricks and stuff to try to uplift the team spirit. But guess what? If the team sucks, no one gives a fuck. Sorry for anybody who's watching this and who's a cheerleader, but it's the truth, right? So Tottenham fans have to understand this. You're not a better fan for being a cheerleader. Stop being cheerleaders. Actually be fans. Actually engage with what you're seeing. Actually be critical of what's going on. Actually use your power as a fan and say, hey, I don't want to put up with this. I'm going to say something. I want to do something. I want to protest. I don't want to go to games anymore. I don't want to give money to this team. I don't want to support whatever is going on here. And until it changes, I will not support it. But we have Tottenham fans who feel like they have to, and that them cheerleading the club makes them all higher and more mighty than other Tottenham fans. And it's weird. It's just weird to me. It's weird. You fans are upset. You're saying the same things we're saying, but you feel like you can't stop cheering on the club because, well, as much as I do disagree, I am a better Tottenham fan than most because I still go to games. I still back the team. I still back the players. I still think Archie Gray is pretty good. I think Burval can still be something. You know what? I think Richarlison, as much as he's been injured or whatever, I still think he's a good striker and that we still need him on the team. Ben Davies, as much as he's been useless for us, he hasn't really done anything and he's old. He won't be able to provide anything else for this club. I still think because he's been with us for so long, I still think he should be a part of the team, right? Because I'm a better Tottenham fan than you. I still think about these things. I still have this nostalgia. I still have this warm memories. And you know what's going to make it even better, just to end it here? When Poch comes in, was it the Ronaldo meme? That's all Tottenham fans are going to be doing. It's going to be silent in the stadium, right? Because we're probably going to be in the championship, right? Nobody's really going to I think there's going to be at least 20 to 30% of the actual fans who are critical of what's going on are not going to put up with it. The other 70% are just going to be the cheerleaders that are just, oh, we got Poch. And doesn't Bergvall remind you of Luka Modric a little? Thomas Solanke, he's not necessarily a Harry Kane, but, hey, I think just maybe he can get in that English squad. Jed Spence, he doesn't remind me of Kyle Walker or Kieran Trippier, but he's a solid backup. Udogie. Oh, yeah, Udogie. Oh, yeah, Italy international, right? Quality player, right? Reminds me of what's his name? Danny Rose. We have Poch back, right? He'll be able to work with this. He'll be able to work within the structure and the ownership because he's done it before. And that's all you're gonna see. Just Tottenham fans just sitting back, right? And guess what? We'll look at the score. We'll fucking be 1-1 against Preston or something like that. Fucking Wrexham, right? If Wrexham makes the championship, we're going to be playing against Wrexham, right? Oh, my gosh. I can't believe oh, my gosh. Ipswich Town. When we lose to Ipswich Town on a last-minute corner and everybody starts booing, boo, boo. Wait, hold on. People start booing, boo, boo. Then they'll go back into the concourse. They'll get their beer. Poch didn't get it right his first season. He struggled a lot. Maybe we'll struggle a little bit in the championship, but Poch will get it right. He got it right before. It's insane to me. It's insane. It's insane, some of you fans. I can't stand it. I just can't believe you're putting up with this. And the worst part is that whenever there's a time for the fans to represent themselves, they either don't do it or you get some complete dickhead who's like, oh, I think the ownership is fine. I don't think it's necessarily the ownership's fault for this. I think Thomas Frank really fucked us with this. What do you mean, Thomas Frank? Who hired Thomas Frank? And then when you said Thomas Frank is fucking this up, who decided to keep Thomas Frank? Just engage. Just think critically. Why is it that you just want to keep? It's Thomas Frank's fault and nobody else's fault. Kolawani, Xavi Simmons, all these are great players. Bergvall, Archie Gray, these are European champions. This team should be getting 5th, 6th. We should be getting in the top 8. Oh, it just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. It was Thomas Frank's fault. But who hired Thomas Frank? We're in an injury crisis. Okay, who didn't buy any players? Whose decision was it? The guy literally he came out in a video and told you, it's my decision. And Vince Stewart's in there like, well, I guess there's just no one we can blame. There's nothing we can do. This horrible injury crisis that's just happened upon us again. I wonder how this happened. We're in 16th, 17th place. Again, this horrible situation that I wonder how this happened. As if we didn't just have 4 or 5 players in the summer window that we completely flopped on. And we go in with these second or third choice players who didn't even necessarily want to come to Tottenham. And now here we are, a team with no identity, right? Nobody's ready to fight. Nobody's willing to fight. And we are, 11 games, T-minus 11 games from deciding if we are even still worthy to be a Premier League team at this point. So it is what it is. I'm going to end it on this point because I said I wasn't going to rant. I am ranting. I should have ended this like 10, 15 minutes ago. Go ahead for me. Take a moment. Like this live stream. I know I sound crazy right now doing a bunch of crazy things, but I'm telling you the content is solid. I will be doing more content, trying to shoot it between 30 and 45 minutes now. Trying to be less rantive, less explosive, but goddamn, folks. Goddamn, just another day as a Tottenham fan, right? But go ahead, like this live stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on X. Feel free to share this video with your friends, loved ones, any Tottenham fans, Premier League fans, or soccer fans. Feel free to leave a comment below as well. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys so much for watching with this tonight. If you're rounding off, guys, folks, get ready for your Tuesday ahead. I'm not sure if we have any Premier League games or anything else this week. I know Manchester United and Everton played, but I didn't see the score. But that doesn't matter. I think Everton's not really close to us on the table, so it doesn't really matter. I'm mostly watching the West Hams and Nottingham Forest and those leagues. Those teams are the ones I'm looking at. So, but again, thank you so much for watching the live stream. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. I will be back on Wednesday. That will be the 25th. Wednesday, February 25th with another De La Spurs live. But until then, peace.